You think you understand what I said, but I'm not sure you realize that what you heard is not what I meant. Like that?
Yes, I like
It's
it very
very
much.
true. I mean,
It's very
tremendous numbers of misunderstandings go right by. Nobody knows it because they think they understood, but they didn't get
But
the meaning.
yeah, I know.
So it's very much worthwhile to go back and forth a little bit. That's what conversations are for.
That's right. That we have to ask questions,
Mhm.
because when we ask questions, that we can go further and further in that.
Yeah, we actually create the language between us. When we
Between
ask
us.
questions and answer the questions, there's an interplay that creates a new language. It's like the consciousness that we're talking about. Your consciousness and mine they look separate, but they're not. If we're working together, if we are attempting to become, communicate with each other, then our minds actually interact as well. This consciousness field creates something that is now new. And that's the meaning. That's the real meaning that we share.
Can we tell that is energy?
Well, it's a word, energy is really an interesting word. People use it to mean things in a metaphoric way without quite realizing the difference between the formal meaning of the word energy and the metaphoric meaning. So a lot of people talk about, spiritual energies or healing energies or subtle energies, and nobody can write the equations like we can write the equations for electrical energy, for radio wave energy, and so forth. For those, we know. We know exactly what they're made of, how they work, so to speak, and we can make predictions and write descriptions how to put together a machine. But healing energies, subtle energies, communication energies, they're a little different. They're ideas still. And we have to, I think we'll learn enough so that we can eventually describe mental energies and healing energies in such a way that maybe it'll be something a little different from an equation, but we can do something more precise. We can make a prediction, do an experiment, maybe even build a device.
Like you did.
Well, my device is really about information. The random event generators, it's such a simple kind of thing. This is just
Just looks like, I think.
right. Inside is quite complex. I should have brought one that was open so you could see. But it's really a quantum level device. It uses quantum tunneling, which is a process that happens when electrons try to flow through a barrier, and when there's a circuit designed to create a voltage pressure to force them that way, the barrier stops almost all of them, but not all of them. Some of them penetrate somehow through a quantum process to become a voltage on the other side. And that's a completely unpredictable process. So it's, you might say, completely random. And we use that to create a kind of flexible, fluid stream of information which has no information yet. It's basically unpredictable sequence which could possibly become a little bit predictable. And that's what happens in our experiments. That stream, which should be completely random, becomes slightly not random, slightly structured. This is one random event generator. We use two different ones in our network. This is the second one. You can see it's designed to be plugged into a computer. And when it is plugged into a computer, the software goes to work. What these do is produce a sequence of ones and zeros. That's like a sequence of coin flips, heads and tails, completely unpredictable and possibly changed by the thoughts and emotions of human beings. Sometimes by intention. In the laboratory, we do experiments that show if you wish for more heads, you may get just a few more heads, not enough to win in the casinos, unfortunately, but a little bit more than should happen by chance. And when we do those experiments over a long time, we find it's highly significant, which means, in effect, that it is a real effect, a real phenomenon, that what you wish and what you pray for, that's more likely to happen than if you didn't wish for it.
You agreed with Dr. Laszlo Domian that when August 16th will be a big worldwide meditation, and that will be the center in Hungary, in Budapest, that you will measure this meditation. Why?
Well, we always take data continuously, and we have about 60 of these devices connected to computers around the world, including in Hungary. And but it doesn't actually matter where they are, because the network of all these devices connected by the internet creates a very large measuring instrument, which is sometimes responsive to things like great celebrations or great tragedies and even great meditations. The website has a number of things that are immediately visible, like here, red one is the sequence of 250 some events. This is an accumulation of the deviations from what should be. So we can see that sometimes it goes down, sometimes it's just level, but the trend up, because consciousness changes the way the system works. Consciousness creates correlations between these devices, which nobody knows how to explain really deeply, but which are a fact of the scientific results. This is one of the measures, and it was basically kind of flat, which is what we expect for random data. But look what happens right at the end of 2001. It changes. This blue part of the curve has a steep slope, and so we didn't know what could possibly explain that. And we did a lot of analysis to find out if it's what we call significant. In other words, is that a real trend or just an accident? It's a real trend. We don't know what's really going on, but what it looks like is that the mood of the world used to be kind of level, but it's become more and more, let's say, unhappy or worried or depressed or something like that. This is what we call the real-time display.
Okay, good.
I don't know, were you filming just then?
Yes.
That's great, because that happens very rarely. That was a big deviation.
Yes?
Yeah. If you hear, there's a kind of the ticking sound and that bell sound. The ticking sound is for small deviations, the bell sound for medium, and this gong sound is for big deviations.
What happened that?
Well, one device, one of these devices out in the world there's another one. Good sign. Unusual things. So this display just shows what's happening at the moment, and it's not something you can use for analysis, because as I was saying before, you really have to do repeated experiments, and we also have found that it takes about an hour for the time period for an event that will matter.
Amazing things happen if people learn how to utilize the huge power of the subconscious mind.
Especially if they are, at least this is my opinion, if the meditations and the intentions and prayers are directed toward a better world. I think what I imagine to be a global consciousness will be pleased about that and may react.